Way back in 1996, we moved to Ottawa, Canada for 4 years. And when we first moved, it was January. So we went from summer to winter. And of course, Ottawa has proper snow. And so the house we moved into, the garden was completely under many feet of snow. And it wasn't until May that we got to see our garden. As the snow melted, the whole garden came to life as if by miracle, all by itself. And we waited to see what plants would pop up every day. There were new plants popping up through the snow. And by our front door, there were some plants that grew, and they later turned out, we discovered, to be peony bushes. One day I went out and came back a few hours later, and I was sure they had grown while I wasn't looking. And so the next day when I went out, I counted the number of bricks up the plants to see how tall they were. And I went out for the day, and I came back, and I tell you they had grown a whole brick that day. It was amazing. And then the beautiful peony flowers came, and I didn't know you weren't supposed to pick them and bring them inside because they're full of ants. So then I had ants through all through the house. But the flowers were very beautiful. The kingdom of God, the realm of God, is like when a plant grows by itself and we do not know how. Last Monday, I went to a meeting next door at the City Mission. It was with the client committee. It was really good to meet with the group who represent the users of the mission services. And we had lots of conversations, but also at the meeting was a young woman, Rachel, who had got into the habit of bringing a home-cooked meal to the mission for dinner one night a month. And her friends found out about it and thought they would like to do the same. And then they started a Facebook page, and now they have 2 deliveries a day. It's called Mum's Mince, as in M-I-N-C-E, home cooking by mothers who want to bring food to those who are having lunch and dinner at the mission. And she was amazed at how this scheme of hers had grown. It just had kind of sprouted up, and she felt she had done nothing at all. So the realm of God is when one mother cooks food for more than her own children, and others decide to join her. We do not know how. Jesus says the kingdom of God is like when a farmer scatters seed and the seed sprouts and grows, and the farmer doesn't understand how or why. The farmer knows and trusts it will grow, but he doesn't know how. Now, any Year 9 science student today could explain to the farmer how and why. They would explain about the soils and the oxygen and the temperatures and the germination process. But a farmer in first century Palestine didn't know how the seed developed into a plant, but he still knew that it would, every time, as long as there wasn't a drought or as long as the seed was good seed. Then Jesus says the realm of God is like a mustard seed, the tiniest of seeds. Jesus says the mustard seed grows into a bush and all the birds can nest in it. Well, any self-respecting Palestinian farmer knows that mustard seeds do not grow into bushes, they're just small flowering plants. But the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed which grows into a bush. It grows bigger than it's supposed to be. It doesn't grow into the tallest and best tree on earth, like a towering cedar or a kauri. It grows into a bush, a useful bush where birds can find shelter. The realm of God is like a singer who has a natural talent and who can just sing, and we all enjoy their song. The realm of God is like an artist who, the minute they have a paintbrush in their hands, they can paint, and we all enjoy their art. The realm of God is like the netball player who always gets the intercept and the goal shoot who always gets the goal. The realm of God is like hearing the call of a karanga on a marae as the hosts prepare to welcome the visitors. The realm of God is not something far away and ethereal and in the future. The kingdom of God, the realm of God, is present and tangible and right here. It's what our lives could be like if we allowed God to be at work rather than keeping God in the box labelled church or labelled heaven or somewhere out there. Jesus' teaching about the kingdom is a bit disconcerting for those of us who are mothers or those of us who are teachers or employers of staff. Because Jesus says the kingdom just happens through no effort on our part. The earth produces of itself, Jesus says, and the Greek word is automatos, which is where we get automatic from. It just happens automatically. We don't have to try hard, study hard, work hard, turn up on time, put in more effort. The kingdom is just there, like a seed sown in the ground, even a mustard seed, the tiniest of seeds. It just doesn't sound right. We all know that if we study hard, we get results. If we put the effort in, we get results. At least that's what we tell our children. And then we transfer that experience to our life with God. We think we have to work hard to please God, pray hard, do good to others, and pile one good deed on top of the other. Well, all of that is great, Jesus says, but the kingdom of God is like a seed sown, which grows, and we do not know how. The stalk and then the grain, and when harvest time comes, the farmer brings in the harvest. It just happens. It happens because the seed is sown. The trouble is, a lot of the time we don't even notice the seed growing. We think it's just a seed, like an ordinary old mustard plant. The first step of living life in the kingdom is noticing the seeds flourishing, noticing the love and action of God which goes on around us all the time, noticing and naming what we see. God is at work all the time in and around you and me. Notice it and name it. And then we get to participate in the love and action of God. The farmer nurtures the seed, waters and tends it, pulls out the weeds. Like the women who have joined the Mums Mince group and they cook more meals. Like those of you who have tended to sick friends or relatives this week. Like those of you who have listened to a work colleague in distress. Like those of you who have taken a moment to say thank you to someone. Like those of you who have celebrated the success of some young people that you know. The kingdom of God, though, is not just about love and being nice to each other. For when we take the next step into the realm of God, we find we are called to action. The seed grows and is harvested. The mustard seed grows into a bush where all of the birds can take shelter. We discover when we notice God at work in the world that there is work for us to do as well. So the City Mission are going to invite the mums from the Mums Mince scheme in to learn more about the mission's work and why people are needing to be cooked for in the first place. That will raise their awareness above the immediate need, and it will bring more voices to the call for political attention on homelessness. We had a parish visioning day a week ago, and our facilitator put us into groups, and she got us to create an article for a parish magazine or a parish web magazine or whatever it will be that we'll have in 10 years' time, an article for a parish magazine in 2025. What might we be doing, she said. And it was really interesting to see how many of the groups who worked quite independently ended up talking about our outside space around the church, the garden, the car park. And there were lots of ideas about how we might use that space. And these ideas are a lot more than just tidying up the trees or planting new plants, although we do need to do that. They're about creating beauty in the midst of our urban landscape. They're about greening the earth and being grounded in the land. They're about connecting with the neighbourhood. What might our neighbours need from our green space? We're going to explore what we might do with our outside space as a task of growing God's realm, of growing God's kingdom. Seeds will be planted, but more than actual seeds, there'll be seeds of ideas and relationships as well. Seeds of action for our planet, God's earth. And our reading from Ezekiel this morning might be a bit of a guide for us. Ezekiel has God say to the people, "I myself will take a sprig from the lofty top of a cedar. I will break off a tender one from the topmost of its young twigs, and I will plant it on a high and lofty mountain. On the mountain height of Israel I will plant it, in order that it may produce boughs and bear fruit, and become a noble cedar. Under it every kind of bird will live. In the shade of its branches will nest winged creatures of every kind. And all the trees of the field will know that I am God, and I will bring low the high tree and make high the low tree. Now, that all sounds very lovely. Trees growing, birds nesting, and obviously it's been chosen for today. It's a nice match with our gospel reading. But this passage is actually incredibly political. It was written while the people of Israel are in exile in Babylon in the 6th century BC. The sprig of cedar that is going to be planted is someone who is going to be the king in the line of David, So someone who is going to rule the people of Israel again and take them back out of exile. The mountain where that seed is going to be planted is Mount Zion in Jerusalem, where the people wish to return. And the tree is like the tree of life from Genesis, in which birds of every kind can nest. That is, all people, Gentiles and Jews, enemies and friends. And the high tree is to be brought low. The powerful are going to be humbled, and the low tree is going to be brought high. The poor and the oppressed are going to be honoured. So just in that little lovely kind of picturesque description of a tree being planted, there's actually heaps of politics. It's revolutionary talk in code. And Jesus' parables are the same. Jesus' parables about the realm of God are revolutionary talk in code. The kingdom of God is like a parish who decided to plant a garden. They talked to their neighbours and they found out that they wanted vegetables, or a playground, or a beautiful place to sit. And they wanted a beautiful mural to look at as they passed by. And so the parish planted a garden and the plants grew. And so did the conversations about the plants and about how to care for God's earth. And the conversations sitting in the sun beneath the tower of the church turned to care of neighbours and care of workers. And one part of the mural changed from time to time with statements and slogans regarding the politics of the day, and people looked forward to being challenged. The realm of God is like a parish who planted a garden. The realm of God is as if someone scattered seed on the ground, and it grew, and they knew not how. But it did grow, and God knew how.